Yeah, let's fire this bitch up.
I'm gonna ask you in advance. Do you have a homework?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, ready?
When the spawn meets world, when the spawn meets world.
What up, bro?
What up, bruh?
And welcome to Bro Meets World.
What is Bruh Meets World?
Your Boy Meets World fan cast.
Yo.
Welcome to episode 55.
The Last Temptation of Cory.
Why that one?
I don't know.
I thought you would have went Temptations.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's a better way to go.
I don't know if you guys know this yet, but we like the Temptations here.
Oh, yeah, we're big fans. Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis.
Absolutely. I'm Siege.
And I'm Tony Coitus.
And it's been a while. We have a little bit of business we need to take care of.
Sure.
Taking care of business. A few things. One, as you guys know, sorry that we missed last week. We have a bunch coming out for you, so you should be good for a while. And then additionally, we have to say goodbye to Boy Meets World on Hulu.
Oh gosh, guys, this damn Netflix Hulu streaming war is driving me crazy because from now on, if you guys want to participate with our podcast and watch along with us, you are going to have to suck that Disney dick and get Disney Plus because that's where Boy Meets World will be living from November forward.
Yeah, so from October forward, actually.
Oh, October forward.
Yeah. So if you don't know, by the time this is come out, they have already moved Boy Meets World from Hulu onto Disney Plus. So we, of course, will keep the podcast going, but it's just going to be a little bit harder for those who were watching on Hulu. So.
Now, to plug the mouse himself, Disney is doing a package deal with Hulu, so I'm not really sure if that's going to benefit you guys at all, but you guys know how it is. Like, everybody's trying to have a streaming service. Everybody's trying to charge us $10 to watch some shit. Like,
yeah, exactly. So we just wanted to give you, our morning announcements and let you guys know.
Yeah, and let you guys know to just prepare for that, because if you're like me and you've been watching this on Hulu, you might be heartbroken to go there and find out that it's gone.
Absolutely. I do a lot of just editing stuff from Hulu, so it's gonna be very interesting to see how the show progresses from there. Okay. You ready to do this?
Yeah. Let's maybe you could just tell me about it.
I'm very happy that you did that segue. This is season 3, episode 9, The Last Temptation of Cory.
Last Temptation of Cory.
While Topanga is sick, Cory becomes the object of a pretty girl's insistent affections.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Eric spends his money on a get rich quick scheme. In a C plot line, Feeney continues to haze Eli.
I think the B and C stories are a big bucket of who cares, right?
Absolutely. I feel like whenever we get to especially if we get to 3 storylines, I'm like, oh, we could have trimmed this and most likely focused on 1 and done a way better job.
Yeah, I mean, Boy Meets World, as we've seen, like, when they do have those 1-story episodes, they're usually the highlight episodes of the seasons. When they do a B storyline well, it usually has to go along with the A storyline.
Correct.
The Eric thing.
In general, if we're getting a C storyline, this episode automatically... I'm going to say, if we get a C storyline, you automatically can't get more than a B.
Well, you know why? Because they're obviously not investing that much in the A storyline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
there we go. I like it. I like that penalty.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Of course, we have Missy Robinson, which I love because they do a little Mrs. Robinson joke.
You know what? I feel like they wrote this entire episode based on the joke, Missy Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Yes, I mean it's genius.
Yeah.
It's so easy, so low hanging fruit, but I do like it. Played by Elizabeth Hornis, who you guys might also recognize as Will Friedle's love interest in the 1998 classic My Date with the President's Daughter, Disney Channel original. We just honestly don't give Disney Channel originals the credit.
You know what? As much as I give Disney shit for making me having to get their streaming service to watch Boy Meets World, the fact that I'm going to have all the Disney Channel original movies is pretty... I think that's worth it.
And then Libby, who is Sean's love lip locker, played by Lindsay McKeon.
Now, I feel feel like, was she on the show before, or am I confusing her with someone else?
I don't know. Honestly, we're getting, this is like that rotating door
Of girls.
Yeah, like we
they
used
all
to have
kinda
the
look
third
same.
seat kid, and now there's just like the hallway girl.
Because for a while, I legit, like, there was a moment in this where I was like, oh, Missy, isn't that Cory's girlfriend?
She
I
does
thought she
look
was
like
Wendy.
her.
I thought she was
does
Wendy.
look like
Yeah.
Wendy. Yeah. And then also, I mean, we've already spoken about her before, but I just love her so much. So I'm gonna bring up Brittany Murphy again as Trini.
Yes.
And I just honestly, like, my heart goes out to Trini. So I'm just always gonna want to acknowledge her.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I'm sorry. I'm looking at the filmography of Libby, and she did a ton of 90s TV shows that, like Saved by the Bell, The New Class. She was on 78 episodes of. She was on Third Rock from the Sun. I recognized her face, and I think that's just because from all of the other 90s work she did.
Exactly. So it's as I said, it's a rotating door. This is the 90s. That we don't have all the streaming services as we had now.
Sure.
So it's really easy to see the same cast of characters because they're literally on every show. They just go bounce and bounce. Okay. Let's talk about the episode. What do you think about the episode? Just right off the bat.
What I think about the episode is that, when I saw that this was the episode, I thought that this was going to be something dumb. Like, I thought I wasn't going to like this episode. I thought it was going to be super problematic. And don't get me wrong, there's elements of it that are, but I also felt like there was a lot of truth to this notion of the scent. And I think that this was the first time I was introduced to that concept, and I've later found it out to be true in that regard.
So I'm very interested to talk to you because we are dealing with something that is kind of normal now, but I feel was revolutionary, at least the way they approached it back in the 90s, which is infidelity in high school. And what it means to be in a relationship and what it means to step outside of that relationship, what counts, what doesn't count.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting kind of thought experiment. Yeah. And I like them for going there. I do have certain problems with it.
Sure.
Because this episode reminds me again that to the writers of Boy Meets World, any female character that's not Topanga is evil or is fast and loose. And it's just like every single, like, girls are the enemy.
They don't have any merit to them. Although I will say this, that Missy was likable as fuck. Like, they could have really made her a lot sluttier than she was.
Well, I'm not saying that she's not likable, but she doesn't take no for an answer. She's the aggressor. It's just like...
She's aggressive in a way that I do not believe is realistic.
That's what I'm saying. It's just, it becomes... That was my problem. If we're just going to talk about Missy, and again, how we treat girls who aren't Topanga. We get Topanga, who's Miss Perfect. Mm-hmm. We get Trini, who's this goofball who should be avoided at any cost. And then we get Missy and Libby, who are... all they want to do is make out. And
harlots.
Pretty much that's how the show sets them up to be. And I see it so clearly now, and I have a problem with it because it's so easy to make really developed characters that we care about, and you can make it to where there's like a legit flirtation between Cory and Missy, and he's confused
that's the thing
by
that
it.
I was confused by as a viewer was that I didn't quite know what was Missy's endgame in this, because the whole episode is her fawning over Cory, yet we're not really shown why she cares about him other than he has a girlfriend. So, like, even though her feelings feel real, the intention is shit.
Exactly. And again, it's just like, it paints women out to be manipulative. It's just like, oh, they only want you because they can't have you. And it's just like, it's clearly written from... Like, it's written for teenage boys, but you're like, is it written by teenage boys?
Besides, girls like Libby Harper don't flirt with me. That was before. Now you have the scent. Well, what exactly is the scent? I'll tell you about the scent. Right, stop. It means women want you. Why? Because they can't have you. You're with Topanga. They think you're unavailable. Virgo. They want you.
I mean, again, that was my initial thing going into it, but as the episode played out, I was thinking about my personal experiences, and I do have to say that I have found that I get way more attention when I'm in a relationship than when I'm not in one.
I'm not saying that the scent or the idea of people wanting wanting something that they can't have isn't a real phenomenon.
Sure.
I mean, as someone who's in a relationship, the gay community, yeah, you are more prized in general, and then scientifically speaking, you are more prized when you're with someone. It means that you're worth having, and then everyone sees you suitable. I'm not saying that that's not a good thing to play off of. I'm just saying that they paint the women as kind of villainous.
It would have been really nice to have a scene where Topanga was maybe with Cory in the opening sequence or something, and Missy sees the way Cory's treating Topanga and like is charmed by it. Like this idea that like or maybe even after the kiss, where instead of right before the dad shows up, there's this part where she's just like, "Oh, I'm just lonely. Like I want someone. I want a relationship."
That's what I'm saying. Like give her depth.
Yeah, something.
And instead, we just kind of get a trope of a girl who, again, in high school is just fast and loose, and she wants what she can't have, and Cory's the next thing on her agenda.
Did this not remind you of the Loser Party episode? Like
Yes.
Like if you're watching this from like just blindly for the first time, you might think it doesn't make sense for this girl who they consider to be so pretty and so popular to be paying this much attention to Cory, because she literally is like she buys him lunch at the cafeteria.
Yeah,
she invites only him to this party.
Yeah.
It's like this
again,
sex trap.
She's trapping him.
Yeah,
and this is my problem with it. My problem is it would, like, in the very beginning, Cory said something, and Sean's like, "Oh, you're flirting." And he's like, I wasn't flirting, I was just being myself. And I think if we would have even went with that, where Cory gets matched by Feeney to Missy, and he's just being himself, and he's being dorky, but that scent is still there, and she's like, you're kind of funny, and you're nice, and like all this stuff, and you can see there's like a real flirtation, and Cory's like, oh no, maybe I've led you on, or like I let things get too far.
Missy does a move that I know is like super shitty, which she's like, yeah, and your girlfriend Topo Pangela won't mind. It's Topanga. Whatever. Yeah. I was like, again, all right, Missy, I see you.
This is what I'm saying. Missy is just painted out to be purely manipulative. Cory goes. He removes himself from the situation. He is like, I need to call Topanga. And she's like, I don't care that you're on the phone with your girlfriend. I just want to do this.
This just seems like a boy's fantasy. Like, it doesn't seem anything based in reality. I just thought it was also really interesting, and I want to get your thoughts about this, because the first time Missy goes to kiss Cory, he covers his lips.
Yes.
The second time, he does not, and he allows it to happen.
Yes. Well, I would say that one of my problems with this episode is Cory, like Sean says, Cory, you're the victim. And from what we've seen in most of the episode, Cory's painted out to be a victim.
Yeah.
The audience knows that he fought and he left and all these other things, but Topanga doesn't know that. And Cory is even painted as like a hero for coming clean at the end and being like, you know what? I can't stand to lie to Topanga. I'm going to be honest and tell her that I was in a situation that got out of hand. And you're like, no, but you also stayed in that like there was I think this would have been a great episode if they showed that Cory, again, we know Cory loves attention. And Cory is enthralled by this girl liking him. He's popular. And had he, again, just kind of flirted with it and told that line and things went overboard, that's one thing. But Cory voluntarily stays at the party that he knows is just the four of them. Yeah. And and then it goes down to the two of them. And he keeps saying, oh, I'm trying to do work. But it's like, you could have left. You know that this is a situation you should leave and not be in. And you stay. And you stay because you want to flirt with danger.
I thought there was two different ways that you could have made this a little bit more true to Cory's character. One being that not that he kisses Missy, but maybe he lies to Topanga about even going to the party.
Yes.
And then just being like, hey, like I didn't feel comfortable telling you that I was going to another girl's party. She did try something, nothing happened. Like that seems a little bit more true to Cory than this fictional scenario. The other thing I thought was, what if this party was actually full of kids? It was full of popular kids. And part of that temptation and the seduction was that this girl who's showing him all this attention also has this like new world that she's exposing him to, and this something that gives him, this kid who wants to be remembered in high school, something else to like tempt him by.
I think you and I just constantly keep in mind who Cory is and as like a character. And I feel like instead sometimes the writers, and especially at this point in time, they think of who they want Cory to be.
Yeah.
So they want Cory to be blameless. So they put it to where he's mostly blameless in this. And then he, of course, does the noble thing where you're like, in reality, the really noble thing would have been to not be at that party. That's what he needed to do. Or as you said, just be in a situation where it's like, no, I understand the nuance of wanting to be popular and liking the attention from a popular girl, and kind of putting yourself in a situation where things got out of control. All of that is very human. What's not realistic is this, well, mostly not realistic, because I know it happens, is this girl doing everything she can to plot to just have a moment with Cory.
As a grown man, as a grown-ass man in my 30s, I would have just been Trini's partner.
Yeah,
I'm smart.
That's what I'm saying.
Smart enough now to not even put myself in a position where that's going to have to be a thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
let's go over to Topanga's house and let's just all three of us like just work on this. Like, I'm not even going to do the Missy thing.
Honestly, for a second, I was like, oh, is this Last Temptation? I was like, are they going to bait and switch us? And like, they brought in this Missy character, but it turns out he's going to work with Trini, and Trini is actually kind of fun, and there's a flirtation there. Yeah, exactly. Like, that, again, this is what I want. I want those real world dilemmas where you're like, oh shit, this is my girlfriend's best friend, and I did this to not get into trouble, and now I find myself in this situation.
Yeah, that would have been really interesting. One thing I didn't like, and this I think goes to your point about the way they treat women in this character, this show, I really wish that quick moment where we see Trini and Topanga alone, they were actually having a friendship of sort. It seemed like Trini was annoying Topanga the way she does everyone else, and I was like, no. If they are really best friends, show us them getting along. Show us them giggling. Why can't he walk into laughter? Like, why can't he walk into them having a moment where they're actually being friends instead of her complaining or annoying her? I don't know. I just thought that was really...
I didn't feel like she was annoying her, but I do echo, because remember, she's there and she's telling Topanga what the day was like, and Topanga's listening. Two things. One, Topanga's sick again, and I was like, all right, this is the second time we've had Topanga be sick, and it's like, can't we think of another reason for Topanga to miss school?
Sure.
And then also, I do like the idea of, Trini coming in and Cory's like, what was that girl's name? And Topanga's like, Missy Robinson. Trini already told me. And this idea of Cory like trying to play dumb, but it's like, no, your girl's friends are there. And she already has a report.
Okay, so obviously Topanga is very mature about the Missy thing, and she's like, no, you're doing your project, it's good. Like, go to the party. How realistic do you find that to be, really?
I think knowing Topanga very much so. And I think it comes back to, if I can kind of get into this, Cory is still seen as harmless. Topanga specifically, Sean, his parents, everyone knows Cory is the type of person who wants and desires to do the right thing. Yeah. So there's no real threat seen, and I think that's kind of like one of the reasons why when it does happen, Topanga's angry, but like a restrained anger, because it's just like,
oh, I didn't like her reaction.
Oh, we're gonna get into that, but what I'm saying is, you also know Cory's intentions, and so it's like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? He's Cory, and then you're shocked by it.
There's so much of just he's Cory. It's gonna be fine. Topanga's reaction felt like, okay, I get it. She's sick. She knew that she can get him sick by kissing him as like a fuck you, whatever. She forgives him entirely too easily.
Absolutely.
She forgives him with a smile.
Well, so here's the thing. So in the episode, what happens is, I do like this moment of Cory being at Chubby's and being like, I got away with it. Why did I kiss Missy Robinson? And Sean being like, better question, why are you telling everyone? Yeah. And I thought Trini was going to be there. I thought
something,
this thing where it's like, it's going to get back to Topanga. But instead, Topanga just shows up, and you're like, that's even worse. Where are we going to go with this? There's a lot of tension in that moment. But you're right. There's two things that happen. One, Cory's like, nah, I can't do this to her. And you're like, okay, I feel like this is romanticizing Cory.
Yeah, because he's doing it out of his will, not because he feels pressure that she might find out, which is what should have been his motivation.
Absolutely. And then also when she tells him, it feels like a boy's wet dream of what happens when you tell your girlfriend you kissed another girl.
Yeah.
She's like, how did she kiss you? Did she kiss you like this, and then she kisses him, or was it like this? And
I believe she Frenches him for the first time.
Yeah.
Because he's like, no one's ever kissed me like that before.
Exactly, and no one ever will if you ever do. It's
and she's
just
smiling. It felt like all of Flintstones or Family Guy or these shows to where like, oh yeah, my husband fucked up again, but you know what? He's lovable, so what are you gonna do about it?
Exactly, and we don't really get to see Topanga debate anything or like take a moment and like, again, if we would have spent a lot of time on this storyline, I feel like we could have had Topanga be disappointed and walk away.
Yeah. Have him run outside and chase her. Have
Exactly. And she just like, it ends, as you said, it ends on a smile and it ends like, you're lucky I love you, and good old Cory.
Yeah.
And that's just my frustration.
I didn't know what to think of Sean in this episode because multiple times Sean is like, dude, whatever, no one's around. Like,
again, I think that Sean is supposed to me, very realistic for Sean's character, and it's in keeping with Sean's character.
But I that's the thing, like, I don't like that about Sean, and I'm realizing that multiple times is that, like, he never is like, dude, think of Topanga. He's like, no, dude, fuck Topanga. Like, don't think about Topanga. Like, Topanga is not here. She's never going to find out. Do you, bro?
Well, I feel there are two things. One, this is technically early on in their relationship. And I remember, Sean is not friends with Topanga. Like, we've had a few episodes ago, he's like, yeah, you're just like my friend's girl. And as far as he's concerned, and as far as everyone else is concerned, this relationship's not going to last. It's when he sees the dedication and the longevity of Cory and Topanga that Sean actually becomes their biggest cheerleader.
You know what? I think we actually don't even get accumulation of the Sean Topanga Cory dynamic into the wedding where like it all kind of comes to a head.
Well, no, I mean, like, again, even if you think of and then there was Sean.
Yeah.
That episode is all about.
Well, I was gonna say that like when Cory, and again I'm putting a quarter in the jar because I'm flashing forward a bit. But when Cory kisses Lauren at the ski lounge, Sean is the one who says, "Don't tell Topanga." Like, he is consistent.
But I feel like in that case, the "don't tell Topanga" is more of a don't cause more damage. You know what I mean? Like, there is when infidelity comes about in a relationship, there is a part where you're like, are you confessing because it makes you feel better? Or because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I feel like at that particular point, which we will get into, of course, in the future, I feel like in that particular point, Sean is like, don't tell Topanga because it's already been done and you guys are stronger than this and you've already learned your lesson. There's no reason for you to share this with her because you're not going to do anything but hurt her. And that's different from this particular time where Sean's like very laissez-faire. He's like, why are you telling anyone? Like, why are you talking about it? You got away with it. And you know, he's not necessarily meant to be the moral center.
I don't know. It seems to me that Sean is just the type of person who values Cory and Cory above everyone.
Yeah, right now especially.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying that it's not true to his character or anything like that. I'm just noticing that it's something that I'm seeing of Sean's character for the first time rewatching this series with you, is how much he will value Cory's opinion, even if it means allowing him to hurt other people that Cory loves.
Yeah. That
I don't think I like about Sean.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I do wanted to bring in a little bit. We already talked about a lot of these things, but infidelity in general. Specifically, like, we could go high school, but like even right now, like, how do you feel? Because there is something to be said about Cory actively trying, constantly being like, I have a girlfriend. You know, it's like a where at what point in time is he complicit in what happens?
I think he's complicit when he accepts Missy to be his
Partner?
I think he is complicit when he goes to the party and realizes that he's the only one there and stays at the party. I think he's complicit after she tries to kiss him and he still hangs around, kisses her again, and only leaves because she says, "My dad's coming."
That's a really good point. He does only leave because her dad showed up.
I feel like he's complicit throughout the entire episode. And you know what? I'm not saying that I haven't made these mistakes in my youth, but I'm saying as a grown ass man, you don't even accept her as your partner. Like, that's just
No, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I more so wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because
I have to say, I only had one real relationship in high school, and the idea of like, I felt like people cheated all the time in high school, but it wasn't anything that I experienced or indulged in. But I know a lot of my friends were like, so-and-so kissed so-and-so and or whatever, and now they're broken up. But these relationships felt so like, you were together for a week. Like, why does this even matter? You know what I mean?
But it's also, in high school specifically, it's also very deep. Because this is when you're learning about...
Yes,
things,
and
and
it can scar you. Like, I will say that, like, that's something that I really didn't like about Topanga's reaction, because I wanted her to have this moment of just like, you were this person who I never thought would hurt me.
Absolutely. Again, it's so funny you said that, because I thought of... It's not fair to bring it to this level, but I thought of Ross and Rachel, We Were on a Break.
Yeah.
And I thought of that portrayal. And again, like, Topanga kind of saw Cory the same way that Rachel sees Ross, in that you are someone I never thought would hurt me.
Yeah.
And you're someone who I have such trust in, because I believe in the nature of who you are. So for this to happen is very painful.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can't look at you the same, because I now know that you're capable of this thing.
Sure.
And I would have loved... I mean, we get that with...
And even on just a smaller scale, because obviously this is a much smaller issue than the Ross and Rachel one. But for Topanga to just have some moment of just like, wow, you're not who I thought you were.
Yeah.
Like, not even occurred to her. She's just like, whatever, he's great.
And again, this is why I'm saying it's like, this episode, sometimes with Boy Meets World, it just feels like a straight man's wet dream of like how relationships should go.
Or how women think and feel. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're like, are there any women in the writer's room? I mean, I just feel like we know these shows would be written differently.
And it almost feels like at a certain point that they're writing to go along with the trope of sitcoms sometimes. They're just like, what's going to make for an interesting episode versus what's realistic or what's real to these characters.
Which isn't, I wouldn't say it's the worst thing, but it's definitely...
That's how we got the Monkeys episode.
Yeah. But I think it's definitely surprising upon rewatch, because Boy Meets World takes those chances with these heavy conversations so often that when we get something titled The Last Temptation of Cory and we get this situation, we kind of do expect it to turn our expectations on its head and give us a really thoughtful moment. Like you said, if this episode ended with Topanga being like, I don't know how I feel about you right now, and just ending there, that would have been a great... Like, we know that they're going to stay together, but it would have been such a gut punch to know, and instead we get all's well that ends well.
I'm very interested to get to the Lauren episode for a lot of reasons, the Ski Lodge episode, but I will say is that they do not mention this. And the fact that Cory has kissed other women twice in the course of their relationship, like...
Again, it's just like, oh, God, yeah. Anyway, do you have anything else about this plot?
This plot, no, but I would like to talk about the other plots a little bit, just because I think they're dog shit, but fun to talk about.
Okay, so let's go into the B plot, which is Eric.
Okay, so Eric has this idea that he's going to, I don't know, the whole Eric storyline did make me laugh, because as silly as it was, there's a part where he's like, I got this baseball memorabilia, is hot, one word, this is the Bean. He's been hit in the head so many times. If he gets hit in the head 2 more times, we're all going to college. You know, I'm paying my college in tuition. I thought was really funny. But yeah, his story is just the same as the Czech episode. What's the magazine scam he did? It reminded me a lot of that, where just Erica eventually comes up with these sitcom schemes of like how to get rich
quick schemes. Yeah.
But it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe this is who Eric is because we've seen more of it than we've seen other stuff.
Well,
so...
shortcuts to success, and I feel like that's very much
Yeah.
that falls with Eric. What I think is funny about this is one, we get the whole Eric is dumb trope of like, I love when Eric goes, guy didn't even know what he had in his store, and Alan's like, I bet he did when you walked in. And
Yo.
it's like, yeah.
Alan has the best one-liners for Eric. It's like whenever he's talking to Eric and Eric's doing some dumb shit, Alan really just has zingers that hit hard.
Exactly. So there's that, and then also the idea that this portrait will be worth so much money if the guy gets hit 2 more times. And of course the guy decides to retire right before the next one. And it's like, that's outside of Eric's control, and he's not wrong. This is something that would have been an investment. But of course, because of Eric's luck and because it's such a very niche get rich quick scheme, it doesn't pan out the way he thought.
The one thing I do want to say is that there's a moment where Eric is trying to hammer up the new photo, and he gives the family photo to Sean, and Sean just leaves with it. And Alan's like, I had to wrestle this out of Sean's hand. He said you gave it to him. Sean taking a portrait of the Matthews and just being like, hell yeah, I'm taking this, is so Sean.
Well, also, I love, as you said, like the imagery. We don't see it, but the imagery of Sean wrestling Alan, being like, no, this was given to me.
Eric gave this to me.
That is kind of funny. Is the daughter in the photo?
Morgan is. She hasn't been in episodes recently. When's the last time we've seen her? I haven't even noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't noticed.
Absolutely.
Damn.
I don't think she's been in this season at all.
Really?
I don't think so. I think we left her.
Gosh,
a while
guys,
ago. Okay. And then the C plot. Again, this is just Again, I think that we have Eli, we have Jonathan. Jonathan is clearly like, he knows Feeney at this point in time, so Feeney doesn't even try to scam him. But he scams Eli. And
what I love about this is that this is one of those circumstances where we realize how not old Feeney is.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes he will purposely play into it when he knows he's going to benefit from it. And him using his age and his health as a way to scam Eli out of money. But the fact that he did it for charity is very George.
Well, yeah. It's, for me, it's, I could do without this, of course.
Yeah.
But I also feel like they're trying to create this camaraderie and dynamic between the 3 adult male characters, supporting characters, and almost always it just feels thrown in. But I guess there is something to be said about Feeney and Eli and Jonathan constantly being worked together.
I have to say, because I started watching the next episode in preparation for our next podcast, and a lot of it takes place with Eli and Turner in their apartment, and whenever it gets thrown in, it just doesn't feel like it's for the audience of Boy Meets World. It feels like they're trying to like pander to parents or pander to the other people in the room.
But like, even with that, it's like, I don't know a single, like, if you're gonna do that, give us more depth. Again,
yeah.
Like, as we said, if you go to a C storyline, you already have too many characters. To me, it sounds like you're trying to make them earn their check for being on payroll.
Do you think there's anything like super memorable about this episode in general?
I honestly do feel the Cory kissing Missy. I feel like, as you said, that should be significant.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should come back again. When the Lauren thing, it doesn't, but I feel like at this point in time, especially with Cory and Tobanga's relationship, it feels like it should be a moment.
It's interesting because we'll see, and I know this just from being a fan of the show, that season 3, in the middle of the season, Cory and Topanga take a little bit of a hiatus on their relationship. It would have been very interesting
if this was the reason.
If this was at least like a part of it, like this, like at least like made her not think of him the same way, or made him consider other women in a way, or we just see that play out a little bit more to the point where it naturally is.
If they were planting seeds, yes, and it really does feel like this is a show made for syndication, where they're like, hey, we can't have one extend to the other. Every episode needs to be started anew, and so we don't get that, and so it's kind of a shame. Yeah. All right. Do you have a Brian moment?
My bruh moment is the fact that Missy implied that Cory would be murdered and his head would be on the wall if her father found out that he was invited to what he thought was a party.
Absolutely.
That's really all I have. I mean,
No,
and also just like, again, I did have feelings about Sean in this episode and the way he encouraged Cory. So I don't know if that's bruh, but I was like, really, bruh?
I think for me, I kind of really expressed it for the treatment of women and that all women who aren't Topanga are either goofballs or horny for Cory or Sean really, really bothers me.
And you know what, reflecting on this, it's not surprising to me that so many people I've had a conversation with say like, oh, Topanga was my first crush too.
It's like, why would she not be?
Yeah, she's an ideal girlfriend to the point where like she's not real, she doesn't have any real reactions or real emotions to things. She just does what Cory's idea of a good girlfriend would do.
Absolutely. And that, again, to me, that's really the problem. Okay, any Feeny taught me or lessons from this episode?
It's okay to lie, that's for charity?
Oh, I thought you were going with it's okay to lie to your girlfriend, but I guess...
Is it okay to lie for charity? I feel like that's a lesson that Feeny actively taught me.
Okay.
Do you have another lesson?
I don't, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's really it. That's all I got.
Yeah, okay. Grade. What grade are you giving this?
Maybe like a C+. Like, I really just didn't care for the episode. I understand what you're saying. Like, this is something that we should remember, but I just don't feel like this episode plays any part in the series of the show, and you could skip it and be fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a C-. I feel like we are rehashing a lot of old plots. Topanga being sick, the apartment feels, as you said, like the party feels very similar to the loser party. It's just like, I feel like we've done this before.
It's like we've done parts of it, and
exactly.
There's a lot of episodes that feel like old episodes, and this is one of those episodes.
Feeny taking advantage of Eli, like all of these things. Just like, I feel like we could completely eliminate this episode and no one would have known any different.
Yeah.
And when you can remove an entire episode and it make no difference in even like the character of the characters, I feel like then it was a waste. Okay, homework.
My homework, because I actually have homework this week, is on Netflix. The second season of Explained is on there, about the human mind.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And it is fascinating.
Absolutely.
I saw the episode about memories, I saw the episode about dreams, and I just really was just so fascinated by what the human mind was capable of. So that I don't know, I just thought that was a very educational watch, and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, mine is also on Netflix, so I guess we're part of the problem with this whole streaming service thing. Yep. But it's also on Netflix, and I don't think I've done this homework before, but the second season of Elite is on. And have you ever seen Elite? Someone described it perfectly. It's like How to Get Away with Murder meets Gossip Girl. And it honestly just, of course, whenever we're doing Boy Meets World, I really am on the lookout for like high school set shows.
Yeah,
I like it. It's a very fun genre. I feel like, again, nowadays we really get into these questions of morality and fidelity and all this stuff in high school stories.
Sure.
And they aren't afraid to go there. And Elite is definitely a show. If you haven't seen season 1, definitely watch it. Season 2 is just out, and it's high school kids. Murder is involved. It's money laundering. It's drama. It's soapy. But it's really well done. And it's an international show. It's set in recorded in Spain. But of course, you can watch the English dub here.
Sure.
I highly recommend it, and that is my homework.
Yo.
Okay, so thank you guys for listening to Bruh Beats World. Remember, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you are leaving us a ratings. We love when you guys do that. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Bruh Meets World, or email us at bruhmeetsworld@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Extra Siege. That's XTRACEEJ. Tonathy.
You can find my that was very weird. I don't know where that came from. You can find me at Instagram at @abraverme. Or you guys can just find me, illegally downloading Boy Meets World episodes until Disney Plus becomes available. So yeah, I'm gonna miss you, Hulu.
Yeah, all right. So that's also part of your homework.
Yeah.
I guess.
Binge as many Boy Meets World. You know what? Forget all the homework. Watch all the Boy Meets World episodes you can on Hulu before it goes away. That's my
again,
homework.
by the time this is released, it's too late. But we
Sorry,
appreciate
guys.
you for trying. Remember to dream
Try.
and do Disney Plus, I guess.
Yeah, do Disney Plus.
Later, bros.
Later, bruh.